Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Stop Complaining, Work Harder. This is where I, with 33 years of government experience, try to give you the benefit of my mistakes so that you don't have to make them. Because the government isn't going to train you for this stuff. They're just not. It's the way it is. For managers, supervisors, leaders in government service, no one's going to tell you these things. I learned them the hard way. So stay tuned, everybody, till the end of the episode so that you can see another portion of bullshit bingo that I reserved directly for the Stop Complaining, Work Harder shows. Now, today we're going to talk about a topic that you will run into. If you're a supervisor, you have to give bad news. And eventually, someone's going to cry. It's just how it is. Somebody's going to cry on you. Now, there's three reasons people may cry. One, something bad has sadly just happened in their lives. And you need to have empathy for this, you do. It's very possible they're going through a divorce, or they've had a death in the family, or they've just found out something themselves or a loved one, has a terrible disease. I don't know. There's a lot of good reasons. And a lot of times, they bottle these things in like you do when you're out in public, and then you giving them whatever bad news or an assignment or taking away assignments or something triggers an emotional response, and they just break down in tears. And I get that. It happens. And usually they'll tell you why. Why you ask, why are you crying? I'm sorry, what's going on? And a lot of times they'll start bawling and say, look, I'm sorry, but I'm just having okay, that's fine. And then the other thing you may run into is some people are simply weak that way. They cry easily. And I say weak because that is a sign of weakness. If you cry easily at work where there's nothing, your life isn't on the line, or you're not being affected financially, and it's just a matter of hey, I need you to go do something different for me, and you start crying, that's weakness. And some people are just that way. That's not good, bad, or indifferent about them. It's just how they are. But you'll recognize that pretty quick. And then there's type 3. And type 3 are the people who think they're going to manipulate your decision by their emotional reaction. And you think, Carey, that's cynical. Yes. Cynicism born of real world experience. Because there are more of these people than there are the other two. These are people who've usually spent their entire lives breaking out into tears and then getting their way because people feel sorry for them, or people don't want to have that negative reaction. People simply don't want to be around conflict. So that's something I don't know if I've discussed in the past, but one of the most important traits of a supervisor, manager, leader in any field is the ability to deal with conflict head on. If you're not talking to someone because you're concerned there's going to be conflict, you either need to grow some minerals, put your nose down and go to work, or you need to get out of management. It's just that simple. It is just that simple. I can tell you, I had a boss, and every day I went to my boss for almost 2 years. And I said, boss, how's it going? I need some feedback. Tell me what I'm doing. Tell me what you think. Oh, Carey, everything's fine. Everything's fine. It's all good. Don't you worry. Everything's fine. I like the way it's going. Maybe we need to take this, but everything's great. Okay, boss, I'll take care of that. No problem. And everything was fine for 2 years. And then one day I walked into his office and he said, everything's fine. Everything's great. And then when I walked out of his office, his assistant pulled me aside and said, the boss has real issues with what you've been doing, and you're basically going to be replaced because he doesn't like it. And I said, that fucking coward. All he had to do was say, Carey, I don't like what you're doing here. You need to change course. Happily, don't care. But in absence of instruction, I get to make my own destiny. And this cowardly piece of shit, for 2 years, you can tell this pisses me off, was scared of conflict. That same assistant that came out and told me that called him, quote, conflict averse. Douchebaggery. And I said, no, he's a fucking coward. And you know who you are. If you ever watch this, you're a fucking coward. Anyways, I digress. This is the kind of thing I'm talking about. So if you attack your issues head on, you can get beyond them. You can motivate people to do things the way that you think are right. It's called leadership. That's all it is. It's pure, simple leadership. I have an issue with that. There's an issue we have to discuss. There's a problem we need to discuss. You're not going to like this, but here's the facts. Confront your issues head on. That said, there are people who will try to manipulate your decisions with their emotions. It happens. So what do you do about this? Well, you can be crass and say, I really don't care what you think. And that's fine. That's a perfectly acceptable way of doing it. It's not great leadership. Your boss's boss is probably going to say, God damn, that was mean. And you're going to say, yeah, I had to be mean. This person's always trying to manipulate me, and I'm sick and tired of it. And you know what? When the EEO suit gets filed, you're going to have to tell the EEO investigator, maybe a judge, this person tries to manipulate me constantly. Do not hesitate from that. Tell them why. There's nothing wrong with being crass and, well, some people call it crass. I call it direct. Simply stating what you mean. Say what you mean what you say. It's not that hard. Okay? The other way is to let them cry it out. Let them cry it out and then say, we good? Thank you. Have a nice day. There's a lot of different ways to handle it. What you should not do is cave to their pressure. Matter of fact, never cave to crying. If someone's crying, even type 1 or 2, let them cry. Type 1's going to explain to you. And now it's time to go into leadership mode and listen to their issue. Have empathy, listen to them. Doesn't change your decision or the direction you're giving them. But it does require empathy. If it's type 1, they're going to tell you if it's type 1. I just found out I've got God knows what, and I'm overwhelmed with emotion. Okay, well, tell me about it. And sit there and listen. Because as a manager, you also are the psychologist and the shoulder to lean on. And it's really hard to reconcile that, because the first thing I'll tell you is you cannot be good friends with your employees. You can be friendly with them, but you can't be friends, because one day you're going to have to give them bad news. Oh man, you're just doing, how can you do this? I'm your best friend. No, well, I'm your boss today. And it just makes it harder. But you have to be the shoulder to cry on. I had one lady back in the 90s when I first became a supervisor. She had cancer. Her child had AIDS. The other child was blind, and it was just one thing after another. And she decided that I was her psychotherapist. She came in my office every day and unloaded her trouble on me. And I sat there and listened, and I had empathy. And when she walked out, I just wanted to cry. But you know what? I didn't. But somehow it was cathartic for her to come and have that conversation with me. That's great. Let it happen. Let it happen. And then give them a tasking. Once they get everything out of their system, and you say, man, I'm really sorry about that. You have empathy, you listen, and when it's kind of died down, you say, now look, this is what I need from you. Can you do this? Yeah, do you have the ability to do this today? Or, do you need to take a personal day? What's going on here? Give them the instruction. Whenever you're going to assign work, now remember, it's management's responsibility to assign work. Okay? Whenever you're going to assign work, assign the goddamn work. And then if they, and like I've said in other episodes, if you assign work and they look at you and say, I just can't get that done, that's acceptable. You can ask why, but it's perfectly acceptable for the employee to say, boss, I just can't do that. Why not? And usually they'll give you a perfectly good reason. I can't write today because my right hand was broken and I can't write left-handed. Okay, absolutely fine. I'll find someone else. Whatever it takes. Doesn't have to be that extreme. But they're going to tell you, I simply can't get that job done, boss. Okay, fine. But assign the work. Now, number 2, just let them bawl it out. They cry easily. They're weak. That's fine. Let them cry it out. Sit there, wait for the tears to dry up, and then say, okay, can I give you your assignment now? If you've given them the assignment and they cry about it, when they finish crying, let them cry. And when they finish crying, say, okay, can you get this assignment done? Do you understand what I'm telling you? They may start crying again. That's fine. Don't yell at them. Stop crying. There's no crying in my office. Get out. You're not going to win that fight. You're simply not. In the U.S. government, you're not going to win that fight. That's the natural reaction for a person like me. Is, why am I listening to you? I don't have time for your bawling. But the manipulator, they're going to cry, and they're going to seem like type 2, but they're manipulators. Those are the ones you say, I'm giving you an assignment. Can you do it? Just like that. Not, oh man, that sounds awful. Would you mind doing this for me? Or let me see if I can find someone. Here's the work assignment. Can you get it done? How long is it going to take you to finish it? But you see, how long is it going to take you to never show emotion? Don't get upset, but don't be happy. Don't raise your voice. Be direct and speak directly. This is your assignment. Can you get it done? And they'll just keep on bawling. And the real answer is they need to suck them tears right back up in their eyes because you're not falling for it. Don't fall for it. These are manipulators. They're con men or women or whatever. In today's world, whatever. Who cares? They're playing a confidence game on you. Okay? And you need to be aware of that. But just because someone else is emotional doesn't mean the work ends. And you are being a bad manager if you reassign work because someone is being emotional. Type 1, maybe, because they're going to tell you, because I've got this issue in my life, I simply can't do this today. That's fine. Would you like to take sick leave? Or annual leave? If you can't get the job done, why are you at work? I don't want you here if it's impeding your good health. Maybe you need to go home and relax for the rest of the day and get your head together. Maybe it's not something that gets cured by that. Maybe they just needed to have the outlet because they have so much stress going on in their lives. You listen to it and boom, yeah, boss, no problem. I'll get that done for you. There's 100 different possibilities. But the most important thing is don't you yourself become emotional about it. You'll want to. I can assure you of that. You will, the first couple of times, well up with emotion yourself inside. If you don't, you're dead. You got psychological issues of your own. But when an adult, a grown-ass adult starts crying in front of you, you're like, oh my God. Okay. You get over that. But the most important thing is to keep a steady hand, a steady voice. Listen to them. Let them cry. Let them tell you their story. And then say, can you get this job done? Steady voice. Now, you will have people who say, yes, I can get it done, and then they can't get it done. They simply can't function because they're overwhelmed or they're stealing oxygen, or I don't know, but they're not getting the job done. You still need to observe the work. So there's different techniques we've talked about. You can observe the work. You can check in. You can have them, if it's a project, you can have them bring you milestones. You can have weekly, daily, hourly check-ins. What's your progress? Give me a progress report. Tell me what's going on. You can do all these things, or you can give the assignment, walk away. Give the assignment, give a deadline, walk away, come back at the deadline. It's either done or it ain't. It depends on how badly you need that work done and how crucial it is. Sometimes you have to check in, sometimes you don't. But the important thing is don't allow their emotions to cloud your work assignment. The next thing that's important, I'm going back to electronic communications discipline, but this includes communication discipline across the board. Do not talk about this with anyone else. Don't. I'm going back to high school rumor mill crap. Where did you hear? Carey did this and blah, blah, blah. No, none of that. You don't even talk about it. Somebody breaks down in front of you crying, you don't even talk about it. Never bring it up. Assign the work. They can either do it or they can't. Assign the work, provide a deadline. If they can't do it, they can't do it. Consequences follow. How that consequence goes along is up to you. If someone, let's say someone told you, well, I've got this dread disease, but I can get it done, boss. Okay. And then they don't get it done. Maybe you don't hammer them into the ground. But if they're trying to manipulate you and you assign the work and they don't get it done, now maybe we need to talk about something different. If they're just emotional and they don't get something done, now maybe they got something different. One of my favorite lines from modern times is, "You're not supporting me." The fuck does support mean? Does it mean I'm saying yes to you? Does it mean I'm giving you what you want? I'm assigning you work. What resources do you need to fulfill your assignment? I'll provide them for you. That's the support I provide as a manager. But if you think support means I'm going to give you everything you want, or I'm going to assign the work to someone else because some tears fell out of your eyes, too bad, so sad. That's how it works. My job's to assign work. Your job is to do work. One day, maybe you can become a manager. But that leads me to my last bit of discussion about emotion and crying. If you're a supervisor, manager, a leader, and I was a leader before I was a supervisor. I don't know why, but I was promoted into sort of an advanced position that wasn't quite yet a supervisor as I was coming up in the immigration service. And I remember working along like I'd always done. And my boss, who was a pretty insightful guy, pulled me aside and he said, you don't think so, but people look to you for leadership. I'm like, really? No, they don't. It's just me. Just good old Carey. I don't lead. I'm just doing my job. You guys gave me a job. No. Your title starts with senior now. So therefore, people are looking at you and emulating you. They're looking at you to answer questions. They're looking at you for guidance. I'm like, no. Supervisor. Supervisor's job. Like, no, people don't want to go to supervisors to answer all their questions. They need that intermediary, and that's you. Oh, damn, it was like a light shone on me. And that's when I started having to figure out how to be a leader. I never thought about that before. I was always the guy that did the work. So anyways, that's you now. Whether you're a supervisor or even if you have that leadership style of personality, a type A personality, people will eventually look to you as a leader. If you're a union rep, people look at you as a leader. If you're a shop steward, people look at you as a leader. So as a leader, if you become emotional easily, you need to learn to control that. Because you can't cry in front of other people. I said earlier, you can't come out and say, there's no crying in my office. There's no crying in management. If you're of the type 1 and you got a family issue, just found out you got a disease, someone passed away, hopefully never happens to you, but it does. Any one of these things that create emotion, that's fantastic. As a leader, go home. Take your emotions and go home. Take some sick leave, some annual leave, whatever you got to do. Take a personal day and not be in the office. Name an acting and not be in the office while you're going through this emotional state. It's absolutely acceptable. It's perfectly good. It's one of the great reasons why a manager should not come to work during the day. It's the true meaning of a mental health day. Take it. It's worth every bit, because you don't want your emotions clouding your decision making, and you don't want your staff to see you in a position of weakness. And whether you agree with that or not, I don't care. It's the truth. You do not ever want your staff to see you in a position of weakness. You can be vulnerable a little bit, but not much. You have to be strong because they look at you for strength and guidance. They don't want to remember you blubbering in a corner. God damn, you remember when Carey broke down that day? The stress was overwhelming. I'll never look at him again. That's how normal human beings react to that sort of thing. If you're, like I said, if you're weak emotionally, this may not be the job for you. Or you need to get some help. You need someone to help you through this so that you can learn to suck them tears back up in your eyes, put a stoic face on, and get the job done. Because I revert back to my discussion about type 1. People are going to look at you. They look at you for strength and leadership. They don't look at you for emotions. And while you may be there for emotional support for some people, you do so by listening to them and having empathy. You do not do so by holding their hand and crying with them. And certainly not by crying and opening up to them. People are going to say, Carey, you're so cold and callous. No, that is a fact. How you are in your private life does not have to equate to how you are at work as a leader. This is an important lesson to learn. And third, if you use crying to manipulate other people, get the fuck out. I mean, hopefully get out of government. Definitely get out of management. You are a horrible human being. You shouldn't be providing work assignments. You can never be a leader. If you are manipulative, if you're trying to be underhanded, if you're using your position and then emotion combined with an emotional response, crying to get what you want, that's just sick. Sick. And if you can't recognize it, you need to, again, like I said in the last show, you need to step back and do some honest introspection and think about how you're doing things. Okay? If you want to be manipulative the way the bourgeois are, not by killing people, obviously, but politically manipulative, that happens. It'll serve you well in Washington. Everybody else up there is trying to be politically manipulative. People will see it. People will see it real fast. One of my favorite people in the world was a boss I had a long time ago. Great person. I enjoyed being around him, but he was politically manipulative. Everyone knew it, and about 80% of his staff hated his guts. Hated the air he breathed. Okay? Because he had tried to manipulate him at one time or another. And people see through it real quick. You will not retain a position of leadership if you are constantly trying to manipulate people. You will not. It's just how life is. This is human nature. But if you're throwing emotion on top of your manipulation, that's some sick shit. That's a fact. I've known people that do it. Stop it. Stop it. Get out. Because you probably can't help it. It's probably down deep in your personality somewhere. And you will never be a good leader. But the shit of it is you will probably become some super high level senior executive doing this. That's a fact. I've known so many people at very high levels that manipulate, connive, backstab, and cry their way to the top, and I do not understand it. It's one of the faults of how U.S. government works, how the civil service works. Have some introspection. Get the fuck out. Now, when people come to me and cry, I said, most of the time I'll sit there and listen to them, but in the back of my mind, honest to God, I have nothing but derision. That's just me personally. Until you explain to me that I just found out I've got a terrible disease, or God forbid I had a death in the family, whatever, your stature in my head has dropped about 8 notches. Because you're crying in front of me. Go home and cry. You've got a spouse or a girlfriend or a dog or a cat or a pet turtle, I don't know. But you got someone you can cry to. Go pay a therapist. But when you come to me and cry, I'm thinking, God damn, not this again. Okay? So if you're trying to go back to the person who asked me, how do I become a supervisor? Don't cry to them. Don't even complain. If you've got a complaint, if you're a regular employee and you got a complaint, this applies to managers too, going up the chain. If you've got a complaint, don't come and tell me everything's fucked up. That will not unfuck it. That's a fact. You come to me with a solution. Boss, there's an issue over here. Here's how I want to fix it. And I'll consider your solution. I'll probably say yes, but I might interject my own opinion in there. But you know what? You started a conversation. That's a good employee. That's somebody who's got leadership potential. But if you come, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Well, guess what? You ain't worth a shit to me. You're crying. You're too busy. You're more concerned about the tears coming out of your eyes and the feeling in your chest than you are about getting the job done. Because that job's got to get done. If you ain't going to do it, I'm going to have to go do it. Hell, I don't want to go do that. That's what you're for. I did it for 10 years before I became a supervisor. Why would I let you not do it? Because you're crying. You're useless to me at that point. Do you see where I'm going with this? My point is, don't cry at work. If you can help it, don't cry at work. Don't let your emotions get ahead of your brain. It's hard. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of effort for people to understand this. All right, everybody, that's enough of that. Let's do bullshit bingo, and let's do bullshit bingo roulette. So let me find a page here that I haven't used a lot from. So I've been using quite a bit. And these are the words I wrote down sitting on the couch for 3 years during COVID. The bullshit government words that I heard people actually use during meetings. Now, I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to let it fall on this paper. Wherever it hits, that's the word we're going to do bullshit bingo for today. Ready? Here we go. Okay, that's the word. It's a phrase, readout. Give me the readout on that. What's your readout on this? Now, government people, particularly if you've worked in Washington, know exactly what I'm saying. But for you average, normal people out there, the readout is an understanding of a situation or a synopsis of a document or a paper or possible outcomes, or give me the history of. It's simply a douchey way of saying, hey, let me know what's going on here. Let me know what that document said. Let me know where we're at in this today. But government employees had to be fancy. So, hey, give me the readout on that. What is your readout on that? What's your opinion of this? What's your readout on that? How did you read that out? You'll hear these things said, probably in the private sector too. But you know what? I heard it in government, so that's where we're going to use it. With that, if you've stuck with me this far, please subscribe. You'll get this entertainment every Thursday when I put it out, and you'll get the daily feed of shorts I do with Bullshit Bingo, where I take one of these words every single day, or lately, something that peeves me that I see people in government do every single day, and it's very entertaining. You'll enjoy it. If you didn't last this far, well, fuck you, because you didn't watch, so I get to tell you that. Hey, I'm Carey Davis, Face for Radio. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned next week for another episode of Stop Complaining, Work Harder. Davis out.